Could we, you have 500 cable channels, you have 4 or 5 news channels, but if you think about it, between all sorts of other places you go to get inputs, YouTube. Do y'all sometimes go get people's take on things on YouTube, or just get entertained? Well, they parody stuff on YouTube. I saw a funny video the other day. They took the iPod press conference and took the Death Star blow-up scene from Star Wars, where they're briefing all the pilots about how to blow it up, and they actually put over the words for the iPod press conference. They said the Death Star was the iPod, and they were some other words when you saw Harrison Ford, so the ears kind of mocking what was going on. But yeah, you can parody things. How many of y'all get insights from Jon Stewart or Stephen Colbert? Colbert Report. Stephen Colbert is the most well-known from James Allen, where I grew up in Charleston, as far as a senior guy in USC. So he is arguably South Carolina. So you go to Jon Stewart and Stephen Colbert and you take on the news. Do they make these things up? When they bring you the absurd, are those things fake or are they real? They're real, right? But they're too nice for the network, right? But does that make them less relevant or less important? So they do the job sometimes. Would y'all argue sometimes they do the job the networks are afraid to do? They'll interview the type of people that WIS would interview. So WIS wants a nice, happy interview, right? Do they interview the people who they wouldn't touch and ask the questions they would be afraid to ask? Okay. So voters, and this really applies to audiences overall, they still believe, and they actually believe it's important to, and this applies to buying products, this applies to everything. If somebody says they want to be a voter, oftentimes they believe it's just as important to be as informed as it is to actually cast a ballot. But sometimes the people get elected, you really wonder if they think it's that important to be informed, right? How many of y'all think voters always make smart choices? But we all make uninformed decisions. How many of y'all seen somebody buy a junk car, used car? Or buy a house and find they got problems with later on? Or bought some gadget and they thought they were getting a great deal. What happened? They found they were buying junk. So these two guys, Mr. Williams and Mr. Deli Carpini, wrote a research paper called Monica and Bill All the Time Everywhere. It looked at how 1991, a lady named Jennifer Flowers, that we've never heard of, most people haven't heard of, she showed up on the front page of the National Enquirer. I had sex with Bill Clinton. Because back in that day, you could go to 3 networks and shut a story down like that. That was before the other cable channels took off. That's when the internet took off, was out there. You could make a few phone calls and shut a story down. Then in 1997, a guy named Matt Drudge has a website called the Drudge Report, which they didn't have websites in '91. Tells us about Monica Lewinsky. Y'all know who she was, right? She had sex with Bill Clinton too, she alleged. That exploded. And the networks, who in '91 had been told and said, yeah, we don't really want sludge on TV. What did the networks do in '97? They ran sludge because they found everybody else was going to somebody else's network. Because competition shook the game up. So, competition is what I am. I feel a niche. 30 years ago, I couldn't have done what I've done. I live in Charleston. I get to Columbia a couple days a week because my corporate office is here, or I go into the State House. But 30 years ago, I couldn't have competed. 30 years ago, to get into the news business, I'd have to have what? A printing press or a TV station? And I could only reach in my area, couldn't I? Internet gets you everywhere, doesn't it? How many times has somebody put a video up on YouTube and got everywhere because of it? Y'all familiar with the Domino's Pizza incident in North Carolina 2 years ago? These 2 people in their mid-30s worked at Domino's Pizza, started messing with the food, and videotaped it, or video recorded it. Guy sticking a piece of cheese up his nose, and they had it. Oh, in 5 minutes we're going to deliver this, and they put it on YouTube. Guess what happened? It got found. In 48 hours, it got found. There are sites that specialize in stupid YouTube videos. So they were trolling YouTube, and what did they find? They found us 2 in North Carolina within 48 hours. And 24 hours later, guess where that video is? It's gone national. 24 hours later, they're in jail because of North Carolina messing with food is a felony. And then you found, the press found that the female was a registered sex offender. 30 years ago, they could have messed with food and they could be as stupid as they wanted and nobody would have known. And the girl didn't understand what the big deal was. That might explain why she went to jail, right, folks? One, messing with food is a bad idea, and two, putting it on the internet is absolutely stupid, right? If you want something stupid to get out there, where do you put it? On your Facebook site, your YouTube page. And as a word of HR advice, those stupid photos from somebody's party, you better never put them on Facebook. My fire does computer forensics. You catch your spouse running around, you take your computer to an attorney's office, they call my father. He was a cop for 28 years, he was a kiddie porn cop for the city of Charleston. My dad's the ugliest 13-year-old girl you've ever met online. You get to Charleston International Airport, that's the interstate conspiracy, and guess where you went? Jail. So he works for attorneys now, and you know how easily you can get around security protections on Facebook or LinkedIn or MySpace or any of that? You know how quickly you get around that stuff? You may as well have a password, folks. Employers can get through that stuff quick. So your stupid party pictures, don't put them out there. They will show up. And it comes down to a job interview, and the choice is between you with your stupid party pictures and somebody else who has no stupid party pictures, and you both are equally qualified. Otherwise, who gets the job? The person without exactly the smart person. So as a blogger, what do? Do I look for that type of stuff? I don't look for the personal stuff. The only reason my site knows that I hold my fire. I have not agreed with our last governor on a lot of things. I felt he was a dishonest, unethical person, but when the whole Mark Sanford affair came, did I discuss it? No. I rule I don't discuss personal matters on my website. Now, other bloggers, it's a different game, and that's their choice. I have passed up stories. Did I discuss the whole Haley mess from last year? No, but will folks certainly accuse me of being one of them, which made my life very difficult for about a week. At 7 o'clock when your phone rings and the TV station's calling, is that going to be a good day? Wanting to know, did you have an affair with Nikki Haley? When the Washington Post is calling wanting to know if you had an affair with Nikki Haley, you're going to have an exceptionally lousy day? Are you worried that your employer is going to find you on the 6 o'clock news and decide you're too much heat to carry? Yeah. So I don't discuss personal stuff. That's a rule. But I do use the internet as a great tool to dig and find information. Anybody goes to my site, looks and see that I tend to back up what I say with something. I just make stuff up. All you ultimately have in your life is your credibility. When times are tough, you get to trust you, your credibility is what's going to get you through. When you're selling a product, your credibility is what's going to get you through. When you're an engineer, at some point you put your stamp on something, the credibility, your personal credibility behind that stamp gets it through. So we talk about how do you set the agenda. And the interesting thing is, agenda setting, agenda planning, what we do as bloggers is transferable skills which can help you get through most things in life. Whether it's politics, whether it's on being a website, where it's, some people can get involved in politics and they don't even have to have a blog. They may find their deal is calling talk radio. They may find their deal is becoming an expert in testifying in things. And I've testified in legislative hearings. What do you need to do?